Tonight, a Supreme Court decision is sending shockwaves across the nation and the world. The American dream, a beacon of hope for millions, now faces a new reality as the court's 6-3 ruling expands federal immigration agents' powers. This decision overturns previous limits on enforcement, especially in states like California, and reignites fierce debate about justice, security, and America's identity. Agencies like ICE are now empowered to resume aggressive tactics once halted by lower courts. For millions, the fear of a knock on the door or a stop on the street is suddenly much more real. Supporters hail this as a victory for stricter immigration control, while critics warn it opens the door to discrimination and civil rights violations. The ruling is a temporary order, but it sets a powerful precedent, allowing controversial enforcement methods to continue as the case moves through the courts. The impact reaches far beyond U.S. borders, sending a message about America's stance on immigration and human rights. For those seeking refuge, the path to the U.S. has become more perilous. The nation now faces fundamental questions. Who is welcome in America, and what treatment can they expect? As the world watches, the stakes, law, morality, and national identity, have never been higher. This moment is the result of years of legal and political conflict over immigration enforcement. The controversy centers on federal tactics that critics say lead to racial profiling. Tactics lower courts had previously blocked as likely unconstitutional. The Trump administration fought to restore these powers, arguing that federal agents need every tool to enforce immigration law. Civil rights advocates countered that these methods unfairly targeted Latinos, violating equal protection and freedom from unreasonable searches. The case escalated to the Supreme Court, which was asked to balance federal authority with individual rights. The 6-3 decision reflects deep ideological divides and marks a pivotal moment in the national debate. The court's ruling now shapes the next chapter in America's ongoing struggle over immigration. The conflict is far from over. Central to the court's decision is the practice of roving patrols. Federal agents driving through communities far from the border, searching for suspected undocumented immigrants. Critics argue these patrols rely on subjective criteria like appearance, language, or even clothing, leading to racial profiling. The ruling gives agents broad discretion to stop individuals based on reasonable suspicion, which many say is little more than a hunch. Civil rights groups warn this targets millions of Hispanic citizens and legal residents, eroding the principle of equal treatment. Supporters claim these patrols are vital for enforcement and that agents use multiple factors, not just race. Restricting patrols, they argue, would hinder law enforcement's ability to manage immigration away from the border. The Supreme Court has sided with enforcement power, despite concerns about discrimination. The debate over fairness and security is now more urgent than ever. The Supreme Court's 6-3 decision, issued January 28, 2026, immediately lifts lower court injunctions on ICE and Border Patrol tactics. The majority argued that lower courts overstepped by limiting executive enforcement power, affecting states with large immigrant populations. Justice Sotomayor's dissent warned the ruling invites police to stop individuals based on ethnicity, risking a second-class status for millions of Latinos. Civil rights advocates fear the decision sanctions racial profiling and undermines equal protection. Supporters, including the Department of Homeland Security, praise the ruling as restoring agents' ability to enforce the law and keep the country safe. Immigrant communities, both documented and undocumented, express deep fear and dismay. Advocacy groups call it a dark day for civil rights, warning of increased harassment and discrimination. The ruling's human impact is immediate. Millions now feel less safe in their neighborhoods, workplaces, and schools. The debate is not just legal, it's about the lived reality of entire communities. The nation is divided, and the consequences are deeply personal. The Supreme Court's decision sends ripples through America's political, economic, and social landscape. Politically, it energizes both sides, those pushing for stricter enforcement and those rallying against government overreach. Economically, immigrant labor is vital to industries like agriculture and construction. Fear and uncertainty may drive workers underground or away, risking labor shortages and higher costs. Businesses and communities that rely on immigrant labor face instability. Socially, The ruling deepens divisions and erodes trust between law enforcement and communities. When people fear the police, public safety suffers for everyone. The decision changes daily life. Parents fear public spaces, families avoid community events, and anxiety spreads. The social fabric frays as suspicion and fear replace trust. The ruling doesn't just change a law, it changes how people live and relate to one another. America's cohesion is at stake. Legal experts warn the Supreme Court's decision raises serious constitutional concerns. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches, but critics say stopping people based on appearance or language fails this standard. The Equal Protection Clause is also at issue, as roving patrols may subject Latinos to greater scrutiny, undermining equal justice. The ruling signals a trend of judicial deference to executive power on immigration and security. Civil rights advocates argue the courts must check executive overreach, especially when fundamental rights are threatened. Though technically temporary, the order carries immense legal weight and sets a precedent for future enforcement. The fight over constitutional rights and security is far from settled. Beyond legal arguments, the Supreme Court's ruling has an immediate personal impact. Across the country, fear grips immigrant families. Everyday activities now carry the risk of being stopped or detained. In California, a mother fears letting her children play outside. In Texas, workers skip job sites, afraid of patrols. This fear affects not just undocumented immigrants, but also legal residents and U.S. citizens of Hispanic descent. Many now feel they must prove they belong in their own country. Trust in law enforcement erodes. People hesitate to report crimes or seek help, making communities less safe. Victims of domestic violence are especially vulnerable, fearing contact with authorities could lead to deportation. The ruling's human cost is measured in anxiety, broken trust, and families living in constant uncertainty. The sense of belonging and safety is shattered for millions. The psychological toll is profound and widespread. The shadow of this decision reaches into every aspect of daily life. In response, immigrant rights and civil liberties groups are mobilizing nationwide. They're organizing protests, launching campaigns, and urging Americans to contact their representatives. Their message: public opposition is crucial to challenge what they see as discriminatory policies. Advocacy groups demand congressional oversight of immigration agencies and public hearings on roving patrols. They call for new laws banning racial profiling and for comprehensive immigration reform. Community education is key. Know Your Rights workshops teach people how to respond if stopped by agents. The movement combines political pressure, legislative advocacy, and grassroots empowerment. The fight for civil rights and a just immigration system continues. The call to action is urgent and widespread. Where do we go from here? The Supreme Court's decision is not the final word. The legal battle continues in lower courts as opponents fight to protect constitutional rights. Congress now faces pressure to set clear, fair rules for immigration enforcement and to prohibit racial profiling. Lawmakers can investigate, legislate, and demand accountability. The public's voice is crucial. This issue touches the core values of the nation. Staying informed and engaged can shape the future of American immigration policy. The Supreme Court has spoken, but the final verdict on America's character is still being written. The path forward is uncertain, but it belongs to all of us.